Hello and welcome to episode 206 of our multi-leveling journey. We find ourselves in Thunderbluff on our Mage, and we've just finished some leatherwork crafting. We're going to head down to 1,000 Needles.
Farewell.
Ruin Post. And we're going to be doing some Shimmering Flats quests. So before we drop leatherworking, we're going to go through and clear all of the quests that involve essentially killing things which we can skin that are around about level 30-ish. So there are the main Shimmering Flats quests. There are the hunting quests in Stranglethorn Vale. Also the Crocolisk quests as well. And then there might be some stuff in Allspread, potentially. We've got the turtle meat hand in, but that can be completed by getting the meat from Shimmering Flats. That's not actually a skinning quest, or at least it's one that can be completed elsewhere. And then there's raising spirits, and that can be completed off the level 30 to 34 raptors. Oh, okay, that's fair. You don't like mages, but fine. I mean, it certainly has I suppose, a unique forced play style that can be a bit annoying. Alright, let's conjure. tonight. Like, Test of Endurance is one of those quests where, even though I'm over leveled for it, because I'm a mage and everything silences, regardless of the fact that I'm over leveled for it, it's like, well, no, what's going to happen here? Am I just going to stand there and melee and wand them while silenced? You know? Let's see. Move all these down. And then we'll put mage armor here. Yeah, I want to try mage armor out. I want to see how the mana regen is affected. We do have some spirit on bits and pieces of gear. Yeah, we've got quite a few spirit pieces. Gosh, those legs need to be upgraded.
Talk to me. Be good. Off with you.
Hi, how are you?
And
Hi, how are you?
hardened
Have a great
shells.
day now. You got my attention. Watch your
Our
back.
parts.
Off with you.
Delivery to gnomes.
Greetings. Alrighty then. Very good.
What's on your mind? What's your back?
Booty Bay.
The winds guide you.
Venom. We're actually done with gazers, really. Halfway. Another one that's 4. "19 seconds. Kill it with Frostbolt." That was not an optimal path. And we had a resist in there as well. What was the time, that combat time, worse? Oh, what's worse? What's the combat time on arcane missiles? Shouldn't have frostbolted, I should just double wanded. Would have been faster. Like half the time. To be fair, that was a level 33 and not 35. Nope. Let's do an adjustment. $11 is alright. crystal hides. Had some resists there. $13. Still much better than 19 or 22. Oh yeah, there's loads more crystal hide here. Any more? Just need 3. Yeah, I really don't know if that amount of speed to kill 3 is worth it or not. The combat time there's 36 seconds and then you've got downtime from drinking. Well, I know that single target I can kill 3 in 30 seconds. and then don't need to drink after. So that does actually kind of seem bad. So standard basilisks are northwest of this area. Rocket car parts are all over the place. Scorpions are both in a location. And we're just wandering wherever. Why am I fighting the crystal hide that I don't need to? course we do. These turtles, I think, in the big groups that they are further to the north, that could be something that's worth, like, AoE fighting. Yeah. But I think I'd also want probably to use ice armor. literally can't buff him. No mana. Four car parts, one scorched venom. Yes. Making a complete beeline straight. Uh, no, two more parts. But, you know, in these things first. And total request. Well, we were hoping for a wee turtle farm here, but Druid seems to have beaten us to it. Might as well grab the leather before it disappears then. This is one of the only benefits really of being skinning leatherworking. This really is essentially just free money. So what do we do? Do we shh? Place our mana agate first, actually. And then probably sheep wand. Yeah. So max range sheep. Into a wand. Into a wand. To a wand. To a wand. To a wand. To a blink. To a blizzard. Blink. Blizzard. That's a pull I'm happy with. Yeah, that's going well. Our first decent AoE pull, I would say. You have to be careful with the turtles because they knock down. But if you get the pull functioning, it's a lot easier. Well, in some ways it's easier because they're neutral, and in some ways it's harder because they're neutral. I wouldn't want to do that AoE with, say, the basilisks because they do mana burn or stuns for quite a long time. But on the turtles, I think you can get away with a fair bit. Hoover up some of this leather that someone else has left lying around. This is one of the only perks, really, of skinning. All the quests where people come to farm these things. You just get free money. Well, I mean, it's not technically totally free. You still have to spend time skinning. And that's time you're obviously not doing something else. Anyway, we're halfway done with tortoise shells. So, nope, not the key I wanted. I'd much rather AoE'd a larger number of those. The Druid here's clearing out a lot of them at quite a speed. The other thing that skinning does do, I think, is because you're making the corpse despawn sooner, the respawns happen sooner as well. I'm wondering if I can AoE farm some of the scorpions as well. That would be another good spot. They're over down here somewhere. Is it the vultures? Like the vulture patches, kind of here-ish. And there's another set of bones the other side that the scorpions like to spawn at. I haven't done the Silithids yet. They're level 55. Sorry, 35. And the tunnel there is kind of very sketchy, really. It's the drones mostly that have the issue. They've got a call for help range that is really rather large. And like all distances for abilities like that, it's based relative to your character's level compared with theirs. So the lower level you are, the higher their aggro radius and call for help radius is. So you really don't want to do it underleveled, and even doing it at an appropriate level with those mobs in particular is sus. They have they have call for help or aggro range that is far greater than anything else that I can think of. Where was this advice when you came through here on a level 32 warrior? Yeah, you really don't want to do the Silithid drones at 32. That's kind of asking to perish very, very swiftly. A lot of people also make the mistake of going into the dig site itself, but that is a terrible, terrible idea. No, we can't skin that one because we've spawned a shell on it. Car parts of venom, hardened shells. It's the normal basilisks remaining. These normal ones are quite a pain. There's a lot of RNG in their spawns, and how many exist easily. You might be able to AoE the low level ones. I think the slumber has to be quite in close proximity. Give it a go. Sheet this one. Link. Ooh, I've got to resist. Resists are, of course, rather annoying for AoE farms. The basilisks, I think they've got more spell. I don't think it's spell resistance or some. I don't know. I think they are generally more resistant to magic, but there's, regardless of what you do, there's always a 1% chance of a resist. And sometimes you just therefore get unlucky. But these spawns around in here share spawns with the crystal hide basilisks, and so they're not always up. People tend to because they get the crystal hide ones elsewhere, they tend to kill the normal basilisks here, and of course they respawn as crystal ones and then stay that way. We've got a couple here. I'll check the crater as well, because if there are a couple on the edge, there might be some inside too. Yeah, the stone talon harpies can be. And they're not. I don't find them so bad. They do have specific spawn areas. So, because as long as you know which general area each type of harpy appears in, it makes it a little easier. Yeah, we got a couple more. Jump out. So, like, where are we? Stone Talon. The ambushes tend to be like northwest predominantly, although there are a couple just along the top here on the where the path meets. The oh, bird paths through here. Apparently. Yeah, the basic harpies are more northeast, and a couple patrol up and down this path as well. And the rogue feather and slayers are south. Well, there's kind of more rogue feathers on the east and more slayers on the west, but there's kind of a mix in the middle. So, like, as long as you keep that in mind, I think you find it a lot less of a pain. The only thing I really want to see is how good this... Like, I say how good, how easy it is to AoE farm the scorpions over here. Because everywhere else they're a bit spread out to pull a lot of them. But there are many over here. Maybe pull 6 or 7, possibly. They are the lower level scorpions as well. I don't know if that will affect how easy they are to pull. Bit of a messy pull, really. They are now grouped, at least. Well, that's certainly the type of AoE pull you want to have as a mage. But equally, it then takes a while to respawn. I really want to get this test of endurance done. I haven't seen anyone looking for it. Yeah. So, venom sacs.
Off and away. Here there. Be good.
Good day to you. Very well then.
Need assistance? Be seeing you. Alrighty then.
Honored,
Off
I'm
and
sure.
away.
Alright, then.
I want that delivery quest. Don't need the tail fins just yet. If you're still here, I'll show you best way to do the Silithid down here. Honestly, I've not played much Mage in... well, I've not really played Mage in Classic at all. This is the highest level Mage I've had in Classic. I played it as an alt in Wrath, but the two feel very different. In Wrath, it's a lot more defined, and there's a lot more support for your spec within the talents itself. So, I mean, for example, if I wanted to my spec at the moment is for AoE. If I change this Frost build to be single target, I'd have the chance to freeze, I'd have the reduced Frostbolt cast time, I'd have gone for the increased crit versus frozen, I'd be potentially comboing that with Flame Strike more. There's lots of bits. I'd have started to pick up Winter's Chill for the increased damage. But even then, despite all that, because there's not, unless you get the freeze proc, and certainly during early leveling, certainly it's, I think, till about 40, once your talents are complete. If you want faster kill times and more damage rather than pure mana efficiency, you're still better off using whatever spell was the last highest ability learnt. In this case it was Arcane Missiles, so that's you Frostbolt to slow them, and then you do the full Arcane Missiles channel for a faster time to kill. And a lot of people don't really realise that. I don't know why. I think they're maybe used to more retail mage. This is about as close as you can be without pulling these things. And I think also there isn't a drone down here. So those two are quite far away. So I'm clearing the searches first here. The searchers don't aggro or call for help or anything, so they're okay to clear. The hive drones are the ones that have crazy call for help range, and there are 3 of them here, so we're going to pull it all the way back. Not valid. I might just pull this one instead then. Not in line of sight. So we know there's a patrol, and that does patrol. I think I might let the... Yep. Oh yeah. Wasn't going to AoE them, but I think it might just be easier to. So that's the other, I suppose, exception to how the drones call for help works. A lot of other creatures that call for help will do so when they get to low life. These don't. They if you're in combat with it and the other one gets within range, it instantly comes to help. If you make the mistake, like a lot of people do, of approaching this way and just jumping down into the dig site and engaging something, you're suddenly in the middle of a beacon that will just draw all of the drones around you in. And a lot of people die to not knowing that. Because it's basically the only mobs in the game that really do this. You know, on this scale. Even some of the other Silithid mobs, while they'll call for help, they won't have quite this level of range. I think the most important thing to know is that you can pull the hostile invaders and searchers without aggroing the hive drones. Now, there's a patrolling hive drone there, and there's one there. So if we pull one, we're going to get the other, I think. I don't think I can reliably grab that alternate one. So we'll just pull left side. And the other thing, of course, that makes this really dangerous is that you have to go into a tunnel. You don't want respawns. And if you're not lucky, you'll only see very, very few invaders. You might need to clear it completely, wait for it to respawn, or lair hop. Everybody's got art. I've got talons. Okay. So I'm much preferring in this tunnel to have a better time to kill as opposed to being mana efficient. And we've got one invader at the back, one invader at the side. So the invaders, I think, possibly can aggro each other. And that has pulled a hive drone as well. It is possible to pull the invaders without the drones, but I really don't want everything. That might pull the other drone, but it looks like we're doing this the hard way. Oh, random persons from our guild as well. Obviously it's easier in a group. And because this is a reward quest, if it dies you get credit. It's fine. We'll just need to kill a few more things up top to get the talons eventually. And obviously we've already got the drone respawned. So what you said is right, like it is kind of a race against time. And you don't know what you're going to get spawned here. But yeah, essentially, if you're super lucky, you'll get all of the invaders in one tunnel. You won't need any respawns. Oh. But more usually, you'll get between 2 and 3 invaders, and that'll be it. That's kind of cool. I think Mage is probably one of, if not the worst class for doing this tunnel. I think if you're melee, it feels easier because you can just walk on top of the thing. But the constant need to drink. I know mages are powerful, but the drinking just is one of those things that either you don't mind it or it irritates you completely. Yeah, it's the call for help that generally gets most people. It's just not expected. Mages have some awkward line of sight issues here though. As you probably saw, we were trying to put down AoE. We just need to wait for this chamber to respawn. And hopefully we will have at least one invader appear. Oh, there we go. Does he need? He needs one more invader. We need one more Talon. Don't know why they're leaving. We won't have any respawns out there yet. There we go. There's the Talon. I think we're all done. We've got another invader. Yeah, I mean that's basically how you do it safely. Just don't ever walk and fight in the main dig site. That's really the biggest death trap. There are so few ways out. You've got the one ramp, or you've got the sides at the near the tunnel. But everything else, you're just stuck in a hole. And unfortunately, like the safest thing to do is to stand your ground and fight whatever's come to you. The moment you try and run to the ramp and leave, Like imagine you've got this massive radar, or you know, pulsing around you, and all of the extra drones that you drag that zone on top of are going to come as well. So you have to stand and fight. It's the safest thing to do, but you may still not survive, of course. Some welcome free leather.
Brawl hard for the Horde.
The next stop, I think, is Crossroads. And this inn. Then probably Stranglethorn Vale. Hunting quest. And Decimus you need to think of. Not really. Or Centaur. Yeah, no leather quests. The Dustwater Marsh stuff is a bit high level for when we'll be abandoning. I think that just leaves Stranglethorn Vale. Maybe one Arathi quest. And need turtles in. Yeah, we do still need some more turtle meat. Yep,
May the eternal sun.
it's all fine. I guess we do test of endurance whenever we come back.
What?
Oh, we didn't know. Set the hearthstone to 1,000 needles. I should have done. Never mind. Oh, the orange numbers. So if I mouse over, I've got damage per mana on the little tooltip that pops up. The orange numbers are damage per second. So Cone of Cold does a lot of damage per second, but its damage per mana is terrible. And Frostbolt is really mana efficient, but damage is kind of poor. I don't think the add-on really quite works out some of the damage per mana or damage per second completely precisely. I think it tries to allow for resistances and like certain mobs naturally taking not quite the full damage that is cast. Because if you Arcane Missiles is 84 damage each second for 5 seconds, so that should be 84 damage per second, but this calculates it at 68.7, so there's some sort of calculation going on that I'm not entirely sure of precisely. But it's kind of a good guide, I suppose.
What you want? Rita. Spirits be with you, man.
That's in Orgrimmar. But I think the rewards aren't all that great, and it's not going to make us level to train. So we do want to go to Booty Bay though. So going to Ratchet's the most
Thunder.
sensible. I don't know. I don't know if the... I'm pretty sure those crocolisks he's talking about are not shared spawns. I think they have their own spawns. Right, that could be vended, that could be crafted. Yep.
Glad I could help. Talk to me. For real.
Yeah, the elite crocs do have very specific spots. But absolutely. That's why I'm pretty sure that they're... And yeah, the crocs are always in the same place. That's why I was telling them, you know, where to go. There's 2 spawns along the beach to the north and 1 immediately south. And they're always in exactly the same location. Also, before we drop leatherworking, craft some of the heavy armor kits to use later. Because if I'm going to be doing some AoE farming, I may as well have a little bit more defense. Cloth is really rather minimal protection. Oh, I meant to grab more healing pots out of the bank actually. Yeah, pretty much. use the bank here actually. I've grabbed more health pots.
Yeah, what do you want?
Okay. And I think safely sell a good chunk of this leather actually. Certainly the medium.
Hurry back.
Ooh. Glad there's an easy way back up there.
Time is money, friend. Keep it real. Talk to me. Hurry back. Keep it real. Hurry back. Glad I could help.
Loktar, strength.
We've got Panther and Tiger Mastery next. I'll track. What's the other hand in? Parts of the swarm. I will get the blue pearls, but I'll do that quest at the same time as the other two quests that are underwater here. And I haven't been to Badlands to pick up the Blue Pearls quest just yet.
Speak, friend.
So it'll probably end up being in 3 to 4 levels time, I expect. Am I missing the salt? There it is. 5. I generally do all of the quests in all of the zones. Some characters I've deliberately tried to skip zones, and overall it doesn't really make a lot of difference. I think you do level faster by skipping zones, For example, you can basically skip the entirety of Stone Talon Mountains. You can kind of skip Dustwallow Marsh. If you want to, I suppose you can skip Silver Pine Forest as well. It's weird. The questing horde side, you seem to be able to skip loads and still be at an appropriate level, and still like just do each dungeon once and not really have it impact what you're doing tremendously. I tried to do the same thing on Alliance when I leveled a Paladin to 60, and I kept finding that I had to dungeon more so that I could catch up on quest level, because there just weren't enough. There just weren't enough quests. Well, that's what it felt like. I was just constantly running out of quests. Everything was yellow, sort of almost going on to orange, and the only way to bring it down was to do another couple of dungeons. Whereas if you do the quests on Horde, you almost have to go out of your way to do them in order, otherwise all of the quests go grey. Yeah, they did the Alliance stuff first. I don't know if they learnt from that, and the Horde zones were then built with that learning having happened. So, although they spent more time and did the Alliance zones first, when it came to doing the Horde zones, they'd already learnt sort of what didn't work, I guess, and so they were done more with what does perhaps work. One other thing actually that I really notice playing the different factions is flight point locations. Like pretty much all of the Horde flight point locations are somewhere useful, somewhere that you want to go, somewhere that for the most part is ideal. I mean, there is the occasional exception that's a little bit out of the way, but for the most part, you know, the flight points take you where you want to be. Whereas Alliance flight point locations, when I did the Paladin, they felt, yes, funnily enough, that was the exact one that sprung to mind as being a little bit out of the way. But also, weirdly enough, it's not that impactful, because you've got that second hub in the middle of the zone, and because of how the quests work in Desolus, well, for Horde anyway, you can do like 2 circles of the zone and everything's done. There's no messing around, there's no faffing, it's just done. And so you don't feel like you're walking back and forth to the middle of nowhere and getting frustrated by it, because you can just do this loop, much like you can do that loop in Shimmering Flats, and it's done. and it doesn't feel bad. I mean, of course, if you don't know you can do that loop, like the first time you do it perhaps, then it probably feels worse. It does kind of seem that way, but it's weird because if you think that, well, you know, they did the alliance zones first and they focus more on the alliance stuff first, surely they've placed the alliance bases and flight points first as well, right? Presumably. But, I mean, say you want to go to Swamp of Sorrows as the Alliance. Well, they have to go to Netherguard Keep. Or you've got Duskwood and need to run through Deadwind Pass each time. So you've either got a shorter flight with a longer run, or a longer flight and have to run back on yourself. Whereas Horde have got Stonard that's just there in the zone, and Alliance have to circle and run around it because it takes up so much room. And if I was given a choice between, where would I want a flight path? Would I want a place in the Blasted Lands, or would I want somewhere in Swamp of Sorrows? I'd pick the swamp every time because you don't need to go into the Blasted Lands very often. I think some of the early, like it was really early, Alliance flight points and paths are fine, but I mean you're talking Alliance only zones like Redridge, Westfall, Duskwood, all of that stuff that links, and like those flight points I think can't really help but be okay and feel fine. I think it would take actual proper action to make those feel bad. But it's when you're trying to go around the rest of the world that the Alliance flights just Oberdeen to Astronar. Yeah, that's quite a long flight, isn't it? And then you've got that weird cross-continent connection that you can't fly from Astronar to Theramore unless you've gone out of your way to pick up the flight point at the very start of Ashara, at the very edge of Ashenvale. Even Stranglethorn Vale, like The Alliance have a flight point in Westfall. That's nice. And they've got a camp up here at the top of Stranglethorn Vale. But you can't fly to it. You can ride there and swim there from Westfall. And then you've got Booty Bay. But you don't have any midpoint. Yeah, like it makes sense for there to be a flight point there, it's just a little bit of quality of life. But in Classic, nope. So you've got the entirety of Stranglethorn Vale and you've got your flight point here or in the middle of Westfall. And those are your choices. But Horde have got Gromgol with the double Zeppelins.
Great to meet you.
Horde's capital cities all match up wonderfully as well. You basically can go straight from Undercity to Orgrimmar really easily. I know the Alliance have the tram between Stormwind and Ironforge, and that's kind of the same. But trying to get to Darnassus or out of Darnassus, that just feels horrible. Horde at least can run through the Barrens safely, provided you're paying attention. At level 7, just fine. You tried without the the weird wetland skip. Try doing that with a low level on hardcore. Yeah, the Night Elf going to another zone is essentially swim the length of of multiple zones. I've done it as well. Well, the thing is, I always feel like if you're playing self-found, like I don't want to stand in a city and go, hey, can someone randomly port me to Darnassus? Like, what's the point of self-found if you're not doing it yourself, you know? But it doesn't make anything link nicely. I mean, this character specifically, in order to stop quests going grey, so that I could maximise the reputation gain, and not have any reputation loss, I had to hop between each of the starting zones, and that meant I had to swap around level 7 to go to both, well, first Durotar and then to Mulgore. You try doing that solo as a Night Elf through the wetlands and they level 20 something creatures. That would not be pretty. I mean, I suppose you can swim down the coast and come in through the beach in Westfall, which is what I did eventually. But again, I'm not sure I could do that at level 7 because the beach is really kind of packed with murlocs. Yeah, you'd have to wait and hope that somebody cleared them in front of you so that you could get past. Yeah, it's a good ring find for them. And like people these days sort of say, "Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You can get around it by doing this or that or whatever." And I always say, don't think of it just through the lens of what you can do now. You also kind of need to look at it through the lens of if this was a game that hadn't been solved and people didn't know exactly what to do, and you're a new player trying to figure this out, which version of things feels better? Which version of things works better? And I know there are some like truly like die-hard, Alliance is better than Horde, the Alliance leveling zones are amazing, and they've got a lot of feel and atmosphere to them. Like, don't get me wrong, but from the point of view of where you go and what you do and when you do it, Horde feels much more intuitive. And the Alliance stuff has you flying from one zone to another in a kind of what do I do next scenario where you quite literally run out of quests to do unless you try and persist pushing quests that are 2 to 3 levels above you. And certainly on hardcore, I kind of don't want to do that, because when you get to certain quest lines, it's like the Defious Highwaymen or the Pillagers, or if you're trying to do those and you're multiple levels behind, it feels horrible, and it's also super dangerous, but for your survival. It doesn't feel like a good option at all. But equally, think of the point of view of new player plays the game, doesn't know where to go and when to go there, runs up against that same like quest wall, and wants the game to guide them, but the game's guided them essentially into almost a dead end quest, from the point of view of questing. Like that's not good game design either. You want your introductory levels to be a teaching experience, but for the rest of what's to come. Yeah, well, I agree. It is an upgrade from EverQuest, and it is an improvement. But let's say you can see the where it could have been better. Just between the factions. Just like the pacing on Alliance side split between Stormwind and Ironforge and their respective starting zones. It just sort of feels off. There comes a point where you hit that quest wall where you're starting to do quests that are 2 levels above you, pushing orange, and it's hard because the quests that I'm particularly thinking about are the Defias ones, where you get to fight after the pillages, what are the highwaymen and stuff. Camps there are really tightly packed, and if you're facing you're 15 and facing level 17s in a tightly packed camp, when you go and try and fight them, you can't help but pull 2 or even 3, and you kind of can't. You just get overwhelmed. Now that might be an opportunity to party, you might think. Well, if you party to try and resolve the problem, you're still getting the same experience from quests, but you're not getting the same experience from the creatures you're fighting and killing. You're actually getting less. And there are more kill credit quests than there are item drop credit quests. And the item drop credit quests balance themselves by requiring you to kill effectively double the number or triple the number, depending on how many people in your group. But the kill credit quests don't do that. You all get credit at the same rate. So what ends up happening is that you party to try and resolve it, and you actually start to fall even further behind. Which then makes the problem worse. Eventually, of course, you are able to run dungeons if you want, and that can provide a catch-up mechanic, a source of extra additional experience. But again, Horde get a low-level dungeon that they can do. Alliance don't get anything until they can do dead mines at somewhere between 18 and 20, depending on class and spec. But I mean, Horde can run a Ragefire Chasm from 13 potentially. Yeah, I don't know what the expectation was. I don't know. They may well have expected people to grind mobs to get more XP. I just find it interesting how you've got two factions in the same game, and the two experiences are, from what I've seen playing in the same way on each faction, are vastly different.
Light be with you. Be careful. Go with water, friend.
Right. I think teleport to Undercity and need to train skills. Get the Blizzard, which is important. You can also take the 2 marsh quests.
What would you ask of death?
Good. Need to buy more runes though.
Business.
5. And then sell the hides. Or medium.
Remember,
That'll work. Hand in Ogrimmar. This is going guano, which we want to hand in. It's on the opposite side. Yeah, really, we're actually very close to dropping leatherworking, and I shall be glad when we do. We're at a comfortable level, pretty much, to go and get the
What do you require?
hostile
Beware
alchemy recipe, which we'll need. So It is all tying together nicely. Where are we going next? I actually want to go to Orgrimmar. Got a portal there. I've got one quest and in. Parts of the swarm. I really just want the log space. Alright, so we want to go back through Booty Bay when we return.
Loktar. Go with honor.
And we can path to the crossroads, I think. A lot of hopping, quick hopping around.
Greetings. Walk with the earth. Strength and honor.
I want to fly down to those needles and grab this flight point. Not flight point. Set the hearthstone there. I don't want a crossroads. Crossroads is too central. We can already recall to Orgrimmar and Thunderbluff, so crossroads is not really a requirement. But Freewind Post is good distance between Feralas, Tanaris, and Desolus as well, if we need to. I'm going to grab a quick drink while we're flying, and then we'll go back to Ratchet. quick hop into the inn, set the hearthstone.
What brings you here? Be careful.
I've been expecting you. We shall meet again.
No, let's just go to Ratchet. I don't want to mess with Dustwallow Marsh just at the moment. It just makes more sense to finish off the leather gathering quests first. Goblin sponsorship's the other one that we really want to do. Particularly. And oh, Help-Killer's Rod. That will be the other major leather giving quest. All of the Yetis can be skinned too. So after we're finished with Stranglethorn Vale, we'll definitely go to Arathi. Hillsbrad and Arathi. And I think those will be the last leather quests that we do. F. Dead Warrior, level 13. I don't think you've been in the guild long. But he doesn't seem to want to say anything either. He might have already logged off, to be fair. But yeah, already offline. I don't know why so many people insta-log. I'd rather talk about and learn from what's happened. I mean, or alternatively, make a new character and start again. Yeah, I mean, he's deleted it already. So whether he'll make a new one, who knows?
What's up?
I don't think warriors are as bad as people think necessarily.
Keep it real.
They are certainly... You kind of have to treat your health bar like a timer, and you know how quickly your timer is going down, and you know how quickly the enemy health bars are going down as well, and you have to be sure that theirs will run out first. And if the balance is upset, you need to bail immediately, because if you don't, you're going to die. I think that's the best way I can sum up warrior leveling. Shamans, or at least enhancement shamans, are or feel very similar as well, but they have, of course, less armor, so they take more damage, but they can heal. So, you know, I would say if you're not thoughtful and careful, then yes, warriors can be troublesome early. You really need to stick to the rules of what you can and can't fight. I certainly on Horde, once you hit level 10 and get the Cauldron Stirrer staff, well, for self-found anyway, things get a lot easier. Although there's been a recent video by a speedrunner on leveling a warrior. They did early levels with fast one hand and shield for optimum efficiency, and used sharpening stones to offset the damage loss. They did this on hardcore self-found, and did 1 to 60 in 3 days, 17 hours played, which is pretty impressive, I would say, certainly for a warrior. I mean, like, that's kind of impressive for a lot of for how a lot of people would play a mage, you know. So for a warrior to do it that quickly is, you know, I'm really impressed by it. Especially as the usual warrior advice that you hear most people shouting about is two-hand all the way, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I think two-hand kind of feels nice if you get an early green, like the Cauldron Stirrer, and it feels good once you get the Wailing Cavern stuff, and it can kind of feel good once you get Corpse Maker from Razorfang Crawl. I found, however, when I was leveling my warrior, that I was doing more damage as dual-wield arms than I was as two-handed arms, despite the miss penalties to weapon attacks. And as self-found, that I just stayed Fury and did Fury protection tanking the whole way. Like if you can get Whirlwind Axe early, then obviously that is better, because that weapon is kind of, well, just broken. It's a level like 41, 42 weapon that you get from a level 30 quest, so if you have a bit of help, then just hard carries you. Yeah, every miss does just feel horrendous as two-hander.
What's up? Have a good one. Keep it real.
Just nothing felt good at all. And people kept saying, oh no, like overpower's great, overpower's amazing. And it kind of is, but it also doesn't rock very often. So I think I was finding something like 85 or 90% of the warrior's total damage was just auto attacks, because nothing procced.
Yo! Glad I could help.
Is that basilisks? Yes,
Hurry back.
that's the basilisks.
Keep it real.
Yeah, and if overpower doesn't proc because the mob doesn't dodge, well, it's useless. And you've got to remember, of course, that, well, overpower only procs when the mob dodges, but the mobs only dodge around 5% of the time, so it's not really proccing very often.
Talk to me. Glad I could help. Hurry back. Keep it real.
You know? And when most of your talents as the warrior face off and around overpower and how deep wounds procs and interacts with overpower, it's like overpower, it just sort of feels like this, a bad thing happens, here's a sweet to make you feel better. Like it didn't represent a significant portion of your damage output, but you're talenting for it. And when it procs, it feels great, but it's got a proc, and you're wielding a really slow two-handed weapon, so it's not really proccing all that often. And you just sit there and wait an auto attack. Once you get high enough level and you get sweeping strikes and you get whirlwind, sure, it starts to feel good, and you again, if once you've got the whirlwind axe, if you get it early, if you've got people helping you, but that's kind of like it's compensation. You know, it's the item that's doing it, not the class. You know?
Strength and honor.
And I think that's why, for me, just it feels like you're sticking a plaster over an open wound. It's not making it better. It's just covering it up. Yeah, all of my warrior leveling stuff is on YouTube. So I've got an example of playing through all of those levels as self-found without the whirlwind axe, and I was just doing more damage dual wielding arms than I was two-hand wielding arms. So I swapped to Fury because the Fury talents actually support dual wield damage, and the arms talents kind of don't. And if you're already doing more damage dual wielding as arms, you're only going to do even more damage dual wielding as the actual dual wield spec. I kept trying to go back to arms, but it never really felt like it did anything.
What do you need? Go forth to victory.
Oh, right, okay. A slog full. Yeah. Probably abandon this one and get it shared later. And that's the only quest we need here.
Zug zug.
Dabu.
Abandon Khan Despar.
Speak victory.
And let's Vile Reef. Troll quests. Right. Unfortunately, it has come time for me to prepare some food. Getting on for what, 7 o'clock. So I'm going to have to call this part of the stream to an end here, and we'll continue maybe with the mage, maybe probably need to tank and heal a dungeon or two and try and get an alderman runner on the rogue this evening, probably. So we'll see. I might do more with the mage, might do more with the rogue. We'll see what dungeon groups we can find, I think. But yeah, that will conclude this part of today's stream. So it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and all that's really left to say is thank you very much for watching. I will be back soon, later this evening. I will see you next time.